Hello students, today's topic is the application of metacognitive strategies in the local school system. I am Ms. Patricia E. Robinson, attached to the Center for Education Programs in the Department of Psychology at the University of Trinidad and Tobago, Corinth campus. Now, may I begin by asking you a question? Have you ever felt that your brain can take no more information, it's about to lose its balance or even explode? Well, this cognitive overload, or as I like to call it, cognitive indigestion, seems to be one of our greatest problems in the local school system, as we rush to complete a lot of content in a short space of time for assessment at the national level. So you may ask me, well, what do you have to offer? Let's talk about metacognition. Knowledge of cognitive strategies and being able to use them appropriately. So you must be able to supervise and select your strategies because you want to get all that information from the books, etc., into the short-term memory for storage in long-term and retrieval. Another factor we need to look at is the need to make adjustments. You must know what factors will influence your memory and make the necessary adjustments and applications. If the heat of the day affects you or the noise from the environment affects you, you need to know what adjustments you need to make in order to maximize your learning. So let us look at some of the additional steps or suggestions to enhance learning. Meta-attention. Paying attention is not something natural. All students must understand the importance of paying attention, and I trust that you are listening to me right now and paying attention and processing. Okay? Students must even be taught to realize that they are being distracted and they need to get back on the task. Young children especially are usually unaware of the importance of paying attention and must be reminded frequently. So how do we get adults and students, younger children I should say, to pay attention? Begin your lesson with an activity that's going to attract their attention. Again, the stimulus material has to be age appropriate. Look at what happens when your attention is divided. There's a substantial reduction in your memory. Our goal is to get students to be totally absorbed so that all other environmental stimuli can be filtered out. Another suggestion: plan short activities and change frequently. We must proceed in short steps. Remember again the limitations of the short-term memory. This helps us to avoid an information traffic jam along the information processing highway. Too much information creates bottlenecks. And when we get bottlenecks, we know what happens on the highway. All right? So similarly, with the information processing, it's not different. So when you are faced with an abundance of information, break it up. Break it up. Look, it refers to the whole idea of chunking. All of these numbers, 16 individual numbers, can be made into separate larger units, and they are easier for storage purposes. For instance, another example would be if you have a long passage, read a short paragraph and allow the students to make descriptive sentences. Then you can allow them to draw the character. Then read another paragraph and allow them to look for another factor. So you are you're doing it in short steps, and you are changing the stimulus quite often. Even movies, etc., are aware of this, and you would notice that scenes tend to change every 7 seconds. Let's move along. Represent content both visually and verbally to reduce the cognitive load on working memory. In this case, what we are doing is distributing our processing between different modes, 2 different modes. And this would bring us quickly to Pavio's dual code theory. I hope you recall this, which allows for the separation of information. And this separation of information between different modes, visual, verbal, it is said that it enhances our ability to recall information. All right? Another theorist would be Baddeley's loop. Short activities place less load on the phonological and visual spatial sketchpad. So therefore, we are encouraging you to use different modes. Now, let me give you an idea. If one has to pronounce long names, it affects the pronunciation time and the degree of accuracy. So too many long names would be taking up too much space on your phonological loop. All right? So therefore you need to be able to break it up into, so therefore shorter names. You can use more than several long names. Similarly, you must avoid too many items entering the visual spatial sketchpad. Again, remember, these are short-term memory activities, and therefore overload becomes a problem. Let me ask you something. Did you know that when you are studying and you have those little pieces of scrap paper for revision with notes written all over, there's a strong possibility that you are going to make a lot of errors, and that is because of the limitation of the visual spatial sketchpad. You are overloading the sketchpad, and therefore recall becomes a problem. So, as I close, I trust that you are processing, or you have processed what I said by making little notes, etc. And I want you to review these questions as we prepare for part 2 of this lecture. So I say thank you and all the best.